Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out some more solo leveling, and I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for this, because I know we're gonna be dealing with this creepy, smiling statue that lives in my nightmares to this day since I first read these chapters, and that was just with seeing, like, the still panels in the comic, and I don't know how I feel with the fact that I'm gonna see it moving around. Are we gonna have it where, like, Jinwoo, like, turns around and it just has that creepy smile? Or are we gonna see it, like, transform on its face? Either way, it's going to feed my nightmares, and I'm not ready. This part of the story is so important to lead up to a bunch of other stuff that happens, and I know that, but it's intense, and I just don't know if I'm ready to live through it again. But at the same time, I really need to watch this anime, and I know that there's gonna be some stuff that kind of gets thrown in that I haven't gotten to yet with reading the comic, because they're kind of pulling stuff forward so that they can set up some things and help them explain some of the world building in a more animated kind of way. But I've just accepted the chaos of my experience with this story, that I'm gonna have some things that are kind of spoiled or like hinted at in this that I'm not gonna get to until later in the comic. It's fine, you know, we're just going for it. So I'm gonna take a last deep breath. I'm probably gonna grab Totoro for the support on this one, because this is gonna be an intense episode, but let's get into it. All right, I've got Totoro. Let's pretend that this doesn't devastate me. Oh God, it's gonna be a whole thing. In 3, 2, 1, go. The pure chaos of this part of it, like everyone just not knowing what's happening, but wanting to survive. Oh. Yeah, he knows that he notices things because he's had to survive. Yeah, it gets gnarly, like immediately. Yeah, she does not do well during this, which I mean, fair enough. I would also be completely dysfunctional. Uh... I'm like so tense, even though I know what happens, but like, it just makes me more nervous about it. Yep. This music is intense. Important, their abilities will not change. We'll loop back to that later. Oof. We're gonna see the opener for the first time. This is a little bit... Yeah, I was like, I'm waiting for this to turn, to get darker. I feel like this is like a little bit of a spoiler, because you're gonna see Jinwoo different, but dang, the animation! Whew. Like the playing around with the perspective and like the camera following Jinwoo. Oof, yeah, see, like that, is that not a spoiler? I guess not. People always say that to me. They're like, there are some spoilers in the opener, and I'm like, I don't understand the context of this, or if it's actually gonna appear in the show or not. So like, it's probably not that big of a deal for people who don't know what the story is. But for me, I'm like, oh, I understand what all these are referencing. Dang, look at the fight scenes. I'm so excited for when we get to those parts. I'm not going to say too much because if people are watching this reaction and they haven't fully gotten into the story yet, I don't want to give away anything. We're setting up this now. Kind of clever, actually, to be like, what's happening in like his sister's life while he's in the dungeon. It's complicated. Definitely don't move. Nope. Yeah. The irony of like having his feet left behind though. Because there are rules. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a game. No, he's terrified. But also like willing to take the risk, which is I think part of the key center of Dimo's personality is that he's terrified of getting hurt or being killed, but he also is willing to take a chance to figure out the answers and to see if he's right or to prove something, which is I think slightly more problematic later on. I would also just follow his lead. I'd be like, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna hope that it ends up okay. No, I hate it so much. Like that just lives in my head all the time. No, no. Ugh. Oh, I love how they took that panel from the comics. Oh dear. There are lots of very confident people during this who do not turn out well, which I think also is foreshadowing to stuff that is going to happen later. To say, like, sometimes being confident in your skill or your ability isn't good enough to actually survive. Oh, yeah. He tried until the very end, though. Ooh. Oh, oh, I hate that they showed that. I mean, the animation is great, but it's just making it more visceral. Yes, thank you for reminding me that he has a family. Yep. Ugh. Oh, good use of the reflection, though. Oh, jeez. Ugh. I'm still surprised how good Jimmu is under pressure at this stage too, where he's like essentially helpless. I'd be so afraid to stand still, but also to move because that doesn't seem to work out well either. Move, boy. Better actually be an instrument. Oh, good shot. With the camera turning. Whoa. Yeah. I forgot just how beat up he got during the beginning of this. Like, he does not get out of this like scot-free. It's fine. He doesn't have like protagonist plot armor in the way that a lot of other anime protagonists do. Like he gets mangled. Thank you for having a normal face again. The smile freaks me out. I mean, fine is relative. Oh, oh, sweetie. Mm-hmm. Yep. Things come in threes. I think it says something about who's willing to take responsibility and who isn't, though. But I also know how this turns out, so I got a little bit of saltiness for some of the characters here. Mm-hmm. But maybe like don't force someone literally at sword point to do something. Take responsibility. I think it is important to say like they voted. And the fact that he was like, let's vote on it. And they voted to go. I think it's an important part of the process here. I'm not convinced it hasn't. Oh, it's really interesting to have her in the shadow, like with the light, and then she's in the shadow before like kind of putting her face on again. Like she's trying so hard to put on a brave face. I don't like that the music has become more serene. There's something messed up about it being like a children's game because it is like life or death. And then it's also being compared to something very childish. Mm-hmm. Testing your loyalty. It's like, can you stand, you sit in the fear long enough? It's a bit of a backhanded compliment, but okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, keep your eyes on them. think it says something about like Jimmu too, that he not only is like, I'll survive this, but it's also like he wants to complete the game. He wants to beat it. This is where things get crazy. Oh, the fact that he's still thinking about money in this moment. Like he's still thinking about how he was supposed to, he's only doing this because he wants to support his family. Oh, the music shifted. He's still fighting too. Like there's a part of him that's given up, but there's also a part of him that's just like, I'm gonna survive. Oh, the like wheezing breath. Seem a little bit bitter now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, him saying like I have a family too. Oh, the overlap of like his internal monologue and then the like almost like muted like actual sounds of what's going on in the actual scene. Some really cool moving camera shots in this episode. Hmm. A different save point, maybe? A restart? Except, I love how quiet it is. Is this our ending credits? I don't know if there'll be a preview, but I wanna see it anyway. This is a really interesting concept, like this maze of hallways and also him like looking at the screen and the elevator too. It's almost like this weird dream space. Ugh. I don't like the eye though. Yeah, it's like this nightmare space almost. And he's like being watched with all the screens. Ooh, that mixture of like the fear and the laughing. It does feel unhinged. I don't think we're getting a preview. Oh, maybe like slightly, a little bit. It is like a game. Even knowing how brutal that part of the story is, I don't think I was ready. And it makes me wonder what it's like for people who are watching this. Like, I should definitely go and watch some people's reactions at some point for people who like don't know the source material and this is their first time experiencing the story. How did they do during that episode? Because there's like some nice setup in the first episode. I thought the pacing was a little bit weird, but I think that that might also be just because I knew a lot of the basic world building. So I was like, I don't actually need to know this information. So it's not the same as when you're getting introduced and you actually need that foundation to understand the rest of it. But this one, like, pacing way better. And I really liked that they were interspersing these clips with his sister, because I think that that's really important to build up a lot of the motivation there. I think it's good to set up some of the other stuff that's going to be coming later. And I think it's really important to have that contrast that at the end, when we have Jinwoo saying like, I also want to survive and get back to my family. I also have people waiting for me. I know that feeling, and you're just saying that to justify the fact that you're a coward, that you're willing to sacrifice the people here, that you're more interested in your own survival than actually saving people. And it makes that impact hit more, because you're like, yeah, he does. He has a sister, he has a mom that's sick, he has people that he needs to support. How is that different from other people? Like, yeah, he has a family too. And having these multiple characters say that they have families, like the one who ended up dying and like saying like, oh, I have a family I have to get home to, and he doesn't actually get to do that. And Sung saying like, oh, he had a family and now we're stuck here because that was your decision, and putting that blame externally. And it's like, well, we all voted, we all made that decision, we all agreed from the majority to explore this part of the dungeon and see what it was. And there were awful consequences to that, but it was put to a vote and it was majority people saying yes. And that doesn't mean that everyone wanted to go, and it's still an awful thing to happen, but you can't just force that blame on someone else. So I think that interspersing clips with his sister just make that hit so much more, and it gives a great context for the story. And I think it also just gives you like a little bit of a breather. Like, there's some heaviness to the story with Jinwoo's family as well, but it does give you a little bit of a break from the brutality of what's happening in the dungeon. And I really loved the shot with his sister where she's in the shadow, there's like the light there, and you can see her like take a breath before she goes in to see her mother. And as someone who has had family with illnesses and needing to visit them in times where they don't seem like the people that they were, and you have to kind of put on a brave face and be a source of, I don't know, light or joy to that person. Like, you can't let the fact that seeing them tears you apart inside, breaks a part of you, because they're not the people that you have in your head. Like, there's something just heartbreaking about seeing them waste away, and seeing her just need to switch from being this very upbeat person talking to like the nurses, and then needing to take that breath before going in, and then smiling again and putting on the show. We're already seeing that she needs to put on this mask to keep everything together, to the point that like even Jinwoo like doesn't fully understand how much she's also carrying around. And I think it just sets up a lot of really interesting things for their dynamics later on. We get to see them like actually interacting with each other. So I loved this episode a lot more than the first one. I hope that other people really enjoyed it too, but I know there's so much more to come. And I know with the next episode, we're really going to get into like the nitty gritty of like what this series actually is. So I'm really looking forward to it, especially with getting to see the opener, some of the things that they're hinting at in that one. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to actually see this. Like, I think I know where for the season, like where they're going to end off the season. And I'm so hyped to actually get to see it like animated. Like, it's going to be so good, but I'm super excited. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click my reaction to the first episode over here, or you can subscribe so you get this next time I post a solo leveling reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.